Blizzard have released Ramattra's full hero kit. It's complicated with a lot of parts. We know he's the first transformation tank that's going to shift between two forms. His primary form has a staff, which is a long-range attack that will deal steady damage, unimpressive when not hitting headshots, but the fact that you can crit at range with it makes it a serious threat. This alone means Ramattra is going to have ways to fight back against ranged DPS characters, specifically, think your Widowmakers, Pharahs, and overall, to be honest, this character looks like it was designed to deal with a lot of hero matchup problems that existed in Overwatch 1. Between a barrier that you can place at range and this long-range poke damage, in this form, Ramattra is like the new souped-up version of Orisa's bunker playstyle from Overwatch 1. Now, the devs are going at length to say that his barrier is intended for you to close the distance and play gaps, but even if it is on a short duration, you'll still be able to use it to snipe and bunker up. I think the devs assume everyone likes to run in, and they try to emphasize that that's what it's for, but I see no reason why you wouldn't just hold an angle with this as well and poke from distance when that's appropriate. It's going to depend ultimately how strong either form is, and it is, of course, potential that both forms are OP. Nemesis form transforms him to have a lot more armor. He goes up to 600 health, which this, I think, could be designed to counter the almighty Goats comp from Overwatch 1. Or, for an Overwatch 2 equivalent, the Winston Kitsune Rush comp that kind of plays together. Well, you won't be able to hide behind a barrier as this brawler tank, or at least in his form like this, can deal damage. But even though block seems like a ridiculous ability, reducing damage from the front in the same way that Doomfist's power block is somewhat counterable thanks to how many stuns still do exist in the game, I don't think you're going to find Ramattra as hard to deal with as Overwatch 2's Orisa, who has multiple defensive cooldowns, even if their health points are similar. Having that much extra armor in Nemesis form is quite a big deal. I'm not sure if I'm sold on the he should rush in playstyle, considering how many tanks exist that do that in a superior way so far. My assumption is it's going to be an option, but not necessarily your goal, as opposed to a hero like, let's say, Junker Queen, that has all speed and offense with no defense. She kind of has one play to make. Ramattra, with the best in-class ranged weapon, probably would more so get picked for that. And for the first tank tool that is a larger snare that is easier to hit than, let's say, a Roadhog Hook or Orisa Javelin, the big Ravenous Vortex can be used to ground enemy flyers, finally giving an answer for tank players in Overwatch 1 who struggled to counter Pharah for so many years. You can use this in either Nemesis or Omnic form, and some key questions we already have about it is how far does it go? How easy is it to hit? If you can throw it long range rather easily, you can combine it with your staff. With his ultimate similar to Orisa, who automatically gets Fortify, Ramattra automatically gains his Nemesis form, including his extra armor, which means you might want to pop it as it's going on cooldown to get an extra use out of it, running at his enemies, draining them of life. This looks like an automatic team wipe, and potentially with a character like Hariko in the game who can offer a cleanse to keep this character alive and immune to damage as he runs at you, you might not even be able to disable him if he gets a good one off. I think it looks kind of like the tank version of a Death Blossom, and probably will function in a similar way, where setting it up good can snowball the team fight and finish it off. The numbers on all these things are ultimately what's going to make or break anything being overpowered or not, and I think a lot of the mechanics were more suited to help Overwatch 1 matchups than 2. However, I will say, having a tank that is particularly good to deal with the hit scan gap is rather rare for the tank category, and also a crucial matchup for the sequel, because a lot of other tanks struggle to close the distance against a hit scan because they poke them down too early to do the brawling they want to do. Well, because Ramattra is built to do both, he can influence that fight at either range. So I think that's probably the biggest gap we're going to see in gameplay when he gets added in Season 2. In some ways, I also think he's analogous to Winston in his redesign, who also has a ranged poke, a shield, and transforms into a brawlier guy that runs at you. A lot of the same principles at play there, but there's a chance Ramattra is simply just the souped up version of that, with a lot more cooldowns and buttons to interact with the enemy team. They've already told us that the power block can be used infinitely in your Nemesis form, so whether you're going into Pummel or using the ultimate, there's a chance a lot of big damage coming your way you could skillfully time to block, because it does slow you down when you use it, but you could catch a big cooldown, keep closing the distance, and it will depend on the delay between uses on that block, whether it feels like Ramattra is unkillable in that form or not. And maybe you just have to have CC to stop him. Let me know your thoughts on Ramattra's full ability kit. He releases into Season 2 December 6th. Only available through the Battle Pass. We still have no word on whether they're lowering the level requirement to get the new hero in the free track, because otherwise you have to pay for the premium one to unlock this game-changing hero, which is something I am quite nervous about. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to actually get notified when our new videos come out. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.